I remember walking down along Franklin Delano Roosevelt's monument and looking at the symbols that he has of the speech that he gave that distorted the idea of freedoms, the four freedoms speech. Freedom of speech, freedom of religion, I'll stand and defend those. They are rights. They are freedoms. They're guaranteed. But freedom from want and freedom from fear can't be guaranteed by anybody but God, and I'm not sure it's healthy to have freedom from want, because want is what drives us to produce and be better. And then our philanthropy that comes from the times that we're short causes us to help other people that are short.
If the representative would allow me to intervene, there is one want that we don't have to worry about anymore, and that's one organization in the United States that has been given a great abundance, and that's the organization ACORN. I know that you have done a great deal of work in trying to expose the nefarious activities of ACORN. We learned last week that ACORN, which has a persistent record of voter fraud indictments across the country, was brought under indictment for 11 counts of voter fraud down in the state of Florida, and then there were videos that came out showing that ACORN, which is a grand recipient of federal money, was found facilitating bringing in underage girls illegally across not only just state lines but across our country's borders into the United States for the purpose of prostitution. ACORN was not only enabling this illegal criminal business, they were also coaching people on how to avoid their tax payments that they would have to pay and how to go into federally funded housing. That's why I have been writing letters to the Census Bureau, to the Housing and Urban Development Agency, to call on them to stop all current and future grants and to investigate all past grants. ACORN has been a recipient of $53 million in federal funds since 1993. Now, since President Obama, who is a former employee of ACORN, since he has become the president, now ACORN has access to $8.5 billion, and in another bill that passed through the House, an additional $1 billion. $1 billion. $8.5 billion ACORN has access to.
Why didn't you do something about that?
Why didn't I do something about that?
Yes.
I did. I have, and you have. We've been writing letters. We've been doing everything we can to bring attention to ACORN. Pardon?
Did you offer an amendment in financial services?
I did. I offered an amendment in financial services. It did pass out of the committee, and the amendment said that organizations like ACORN or similarly situated organizations that are currently under indictment for voter fraud would be ineligible to have access to federal grants.
Did Chairman Frank vote for that amendment?
Chairman Frank voted for that amendment in the committee. Yes, that's right.
Why isn't it law?
Well, it came to the House floor, and Chairman Frank just said in the course of his remarks here on the floor that he didn't read the amendment fully. He wasn't aware of what the amendment said. And so he said it came to his attention later by his staff, and so now he was going to change that.
Could that be interpreted to mean that ACORN talked to his staff after the committee meeting and advised him that he should come to the floor and change the language?
I can't tell you whether ACORN spoke with him or not. I have no knowledge of that. All I know is that when Chairman Frank came to the floor, he proceeded to pull my amendment out of the bill, which he did, which meant that now ACORN would have access to another $1.5 billion in addition to the $8.5 billion that they already have access to. ACORN, in my opinion, should have the Internal Revenue Service look at their tax-exempt status. In my opinion, ACORN, I think, has a very tough time proving that they should hold on to their tax-exempt status. Not only that, they have a very tough time proving that they should be a recipient of any more federal housing grants. If they want to be an organization, they can, but they shouldn't be a recipient of federal taxpayer funds.
They should not be.
They should not be.
Here's an image. In fact, I don't know if this poster's here. I don't think it is. I'll try to bring it down sometime this week so everybody can see it, Mr. Speaker. But I thought it'd be good for me to go down to the headquarters of ACORN and see what it looked like. So I went on down there to 2609 Canal Street, New Orleans, Louisiana. That's the national headquarters, and for all I know, the international headquarters of ACORN. And in there is where they process the paperwork for many of, probably most of, and probably not quite all of their affiliate corporations. But inside those doors, the most fortified building in that neighborhood. Over 200 affiliate organizations.
I yield back. Isn't it over 200 affiliate organizations are housed there, and it's a two-story building?
It's more than two. It's a 4 or 5 story building. I'd have to look at the picture to count the stories. But the first 2 are all bars, and it's fortified. And then above that, I guess it's high enough that the crowds can't get in. But behind the glass, in ACORN's national headquarters on the street side, is a huge poster, Obama for President '08. And hanging right next to it is an ACORN flag. I have that picture. I've turned it into a poster. I brought it down here on the floor. ACORN is a 501c3 not-for-profit corporation. It is unlawful for them to engage in partisan politics, and yet they are a get-out-the-vote organization for Democrats, and they are taking federal tax dollars, and they're pushing it through to run political campaigns, and then they boldly advertise it in the front window of their national headquarters in New Orleans with an Obama poster. I yield.
Over and over, I've had people tell me that ACORN is effectively the electioneering arm of the Democrat Party. And that is very concerning. At the least, I would think that the Democrat majority that controls this House would want to hold hearings to clear their name, to say that ACORN is not our electioneering arm, and prove that assertion false. I would think that's exactly what they would want to do, which is why I wrote letters to Chairman Barney Frank and to Speaker Pelosi demanding that we have oversight hearings and investigate ACORN and take a look into all of the grants that ACORN has received to see if they have been spent wisely, if they've been used according to the rules that have been set up for their disbursement.
You have raised a lot of children. Foster children, your own natural-born children, it is a phenomenal thing. Have you ever caught any of your children with their hand in the cookie jar?
Oh, yes, I have, Mr.
Did any
King.
of them call for a hearing to clear their name?
No, they knew they were guilty, Mr. King.
I think that's the case. And clearly it's a partisan get-out-the-vote organization. And it's insidious. They're everywhere in America, with over 100 major cities, and then subdivisions within the cities. And the reach doesn't just go into politics. And we saw what was going on with the, what's the nicest word, subordination of prostitution, child prostitution, the encouragement of what appears to be illegal immigration, saying that they're going to help with a child tax credit, the refundable tax credit, which is a transfer from the taxpayers to the pimp and the prostitute. Out of the pocket of the taxpayers, enabled by ACORN?
This is ACORN enabling it, and one of our colleagues said that he would hold hearings about ACORN. When several months ago, there was one indictment after another that came out after voter fraud. Now, these latest indictments deal with the housing grants that ACORN is receiving. He announced he was going to hold hearings and investigate ACORN. Then the next thing we knew, he was not going to hold those hearings because he said the higher-ups told him, this is his own word, he said the higher-ups told him that he was not to hold hearings. I think the American people have a right to know. I think they have a right to know that these red flags about ACORN didn't just happen last week. These red flags have gone up for months and years ago. And now, remember, the Speaker of the House said she was going to drain the swamp. That's what she was going to do, drain the swamp of corruption. Well, could anything be more corrupt than a taxpayer-funded, tax-free organization doing the electioneering bidding for a dominant political party? Does it get any more circular than that, and some might suggest incestuous?
Well, it is circular and it's incestuous, and the statement that was made about investigating in ACORN was made by Chairman John Conyers, chairman of the Judiciary Committee. I was sitting in the room when that was going on. We had a hearing before the Constitution Subcommittee. The subcommittee chairman is Jerry Nadler from New York. Chairman Conyers said, I think there's substance here. I think we should look into it. Chairman Nadler said, when I see something substantive, then I'll consider hearings. There was plenty of substance. There's plenty more substance here now. But since that time, John Conyers has said, well, the powers that be, not the higher-ups necessarily, but the powers that be had decided that there wouldn't be hearings. Now, who could the powers that be when you're the chairman of the Judiciary Committee in the House of Representatives? You really only look up and you think, well, the powers that be are either the Speaker of the House or the President of the United States.